Donald Trump is not backing down from his war on transgenderism. The president used Women's History Month to take aim at the trans agenda, reminding everyone that transgender women can never become women.
No matter how many surgeries you have or chemicals you inject, if you're born with male DNA in every cell of your body, you can never become a woman. You're not going to be a woman. And that's why last month I proudly signed a historic executive order to ban men from competing in women's sports, and it was very popular and very...
Online commentators applauded the common sense rhetoric by Trump, with this person saying, well, he's only stating a fact. Trans women are men. And this person agreed, simply saying, we won. Common sense prevails. Trump's reality check to trans people came during an event celebrating Women's History Month, where he was the first president to welcome a detransitioner into the White House.
Go.
Chloe Cole said, I'm honored to have been invited to the White House today for Women's History Month. Donald Trump is the first president to ever welcome a detransitioner to the White House. This administration's drive to fiercely combat radical gender ideology gives me so much hope. Donald Trump has always been a champion for women, but he doubled down on that again, declaring a Women's History Museum will be built on the National Mall during his address.
It's been discussed specifically, but to create a women's museum on the National Mall, and we have a great site. I'm very good at real estate, you know. We have a great site, and Nicole Meliatakis is here someplace. Where's Nicole? And she is really working hard on this one. This is a passion for you, and you're working. It's a big, beautiful. She said it's going to be a big, beautiful museum. Well, it has to be. If it's for women, it better be big and beautiful, or we're in trouble, right? But we're working on that, and you get that going, and we're going to back it 100%, unless the women here would rather not have a... Is anybody not in favor of a women's museum in this room, please? It's okay. I could see some. Maybe they want to save a couple of bucks, right? No takers. Okay. You're all set. You have it then, I guess. I sort of thought that was going to happen.
The president also used the opportunity to spruik his new administration, crediting women in his cabinet for helping lead the golden age of America, whilst also taking a stab at his predecessor.
Throughout our history, strong, tough, visionary women have defended our flag, strengthened our communities, explored new frontiers, and expanded the American dream for all of our children and all of our people. Now, patriotic American women like those in this room are helping lead our nation into the golden age of America, and that's what we're calling it. This is the golden age of America. We want to do things that nobody thought were possible. You know, had I done it the more traditional way, which I actually did, but we won't talk about that. But had it been the, 4 plus 4 as opposed to floor 4, let's see how bad they do, and then we get another 4 at numbers too big to rig, we call it. We have to go out too big to rig. They tried, but it was too big to rig. Had we done it that way, it wouldn't have been nearly as important or nearly as historic. It's much more historic. It's a much more important presidency. And frankly, because of how bad they were, we're able to do things that we could have never done if it were traditional. I don't think, Marjorie, we would have ever been able to have done the things we are doing now. You see what we're doing with the colleges, and they're all bending and saying, sir, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And they are, nobody can believe it, including law firms that have been so horrible, law firms that nobody would believe, and they're just saying, where do I sign? Where do I sign? Nobody can believe.
Trump's comments on trans people have unsurprisingly put progressives offside, with controversial Texas Democrat Jasmine Crockett slamming the president.
Lord have mercy, that is the biggest issue that we had. Since when? Since when? Find the little trans child that is ruining your life. I'm just like, what are we doing?
Women in Sports campaigner and athlete Riley Gaines hit back at Crockett, saying she is deeply misogynistic.
You too.
Look,
Thanks
that response can only be described as utterly regressive and deeply misogynistic. It's what we've seen over the past few years. Democrats, specifically, of course, elected in terms of elected representation, they're not actually able to offer a rebuttal or a counter to the argument. Instead, they say this isn't really happening. We're searching for a solution and a problem that doesn't exist. And so my question to Jasmine Crockett, okay, how many does it take? How many girls like Peyton McNabb, who of course attended, she was the guest of the First Lady at the joint address to Congress, how many girls like her have to be permanently injured, permanently paralyzed? How many Olympic spots do women have to lose to men before people like Jasmine Crockett, who again, at that joint address to Congress, we saw these women, these Democrat members, showing up in pink to symbolize how they are the party of and for women, how they defend women's rights. How in the world can Jasmine Crockett or any of her colleagues in the House or the Senate sit there and say they defend women when they can't even define what a woman is?
Donald Trump agrees, proudly cancelling huge contracts that educate the community on niche trans issues.
Well, let me just add to that, and thank you. We just had a wonderful cabinet meeting, all aligned on certainly the effort to realign the government. But even at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, we've canceled a $300,000 contract educating on food justice for queer and transgender farmers in San Francisco. A similar contract we canceled in New York, again educating transgender and queer farmers on food justice and food equality. I'm not even sure what that means, but apparently the last administration wanted to put our taxpayer dollars towards that. We canceled a $600,000 contract out of Louisiana that was studying the menstrual cycles of transgender men, a $600,000 contract. We canceled another contract out of a university in the middle of the country that focused on getting more diversity, equity, and inclusion into our pest management industry. Again, these are nonsensical. It makes zero sense to use taxpayer dollars to fund these. I know these are just a few examples of the hundreds and hundreds that we have found.